see.
You are looking live at the newly renovated Las Vegas Motor Speedway, complete with higher banks, giving us higher speeds and higher risks. And the Busch boys have traversed some 7,000 miles to get here. From Daytona to California to Mexico and now Vegas, these Busch boys are ready for round 4. Like a band of renegade road trippers, hell-bent on leaving their mark from Daytona to Mexico City, the boys of the Busch Series showed their fans and even their teammates it's every man for himself.
There's contact. Montoya and Pruitt come to get him. They spin around.
Of all the people to take you out, your teammate. I mean, that was just no good, low, nasty, dirty driving.
When I was there, he just turned and I had nowhere to go. I feel really sorry about him.
We worked hard to try to build a team that could work together, and it's tough.
Open up the NASCAR history books. Juan Pablo Montoya has won it here at Mexico City.
Now this full throttle poker run is rambling and gambling its way to Las Vegas. Kicking up dust and envy in the wake of his swagger, Kyle Busch returns to his hometown. While other next-up Cup racers, led by Tony Stewart, cruise into the desert, flexing their own poker-faced confidence. This is Vegas, where anything and everything goes. Fast, all in, flat out, the life, the action, the adrenaline-fueled pulse of letting it ride on 4 wheels of steel and a driver of even greater strength. A brand new track with all the glitz and glamour of the strip, attracting the rambling, gambling high rollers of NASCAR with higher banks, higher stakes, and the fastest speeds ever. Busch Series fans, welcome to fabulous Las Vegas and the baddest 300-mile race in the desert. And it is a beautiful day to go racing. You see the cars moving out to the grid. A year ago, we had snowflakes. Today, we're going to have temperature into the 80s. Welcome, everybody. I'm Brett Musburger. We got one great lineup coming your way on Countdown. We've got 26 Cup regulars who are going to be racing today. All the talk now is about the renovated Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The new pavement and the higher banking. Is it good for racing? Could it be too dangerous? The Pit Studio gang will discuss Juan Pablo Montoya's move in Mexico on Scott Pruitt and set the stage for the race. Now, here are the men starting up front. Kevin Harvick, he's back, folks, and he's on the pole in Vegas with a new track record of 181+ miles an hour. There are 26 bushwhackers in the field. 10 take up the first 5 rows. Most notably, Casey Kane. He'll have the pole tomorrow in the Cup race, and he won here last year on Saturday. And yes, Tony Stewart is running. He'll start in row 9. Montoya all the way back in 35th. And one other thing I know, folks, we got all the angles covered with our crew. And to start our coverage, we go trackside. Here's Mike Massaro. Mike?
Well, Brent, just like the roulette wheels that are scattered throughout downtown Las Vegas, this race, completely unpredictable. The reason? A new tire, new asphalt, and a dramatically reconfigured racetrack. All variables that figure into today what could be a mystery for all teams. Jamie.
Well, Mike, one thing that's no mystery in Las Vegas, the Busch brothers are the local heroes. Older brother Kurt Busch, he's never started in a Busch Series race until today. Younger brother Kyle, he started here. This is his 4th start. Now, what's surprising, neither driver has won on their home turf. You can bet there's a sibling rivalry as both wants to take home their first win in front of the hometown crowd. Dave?
Jamie, for the first time in a year, the NASCAR Busch Series has a new points leader. Carl Edwards finished 4th at Mexico last week and takes over the top spot. But he qualified deep in the field today, so before today's race is over, we may have yet another shift in the points. Alan?
Already this weekend here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, a dozen cars have hit the wall during practice and qualifying. That's way beyond a number seen in a normal race weekend. What kind of a race will we see today? Well, most in the garage think it's going to be the kind of race that the guys who fix these cars don't very much look forward to. We'll talk about why coming up on NASCAR Countdown.
T-minus 10, 9, 6, 5, 4, 3, ignition.
look as our grid moves into position. 43 cars on this glorious Saturday afternoon. Jamie mentioned Kurt Busch. He'll be starting in row 2. Brother Kyle back in row 10. And you know, folks, you know, demolition in the city of Vegas, well, that's just normal. Let's take it back to 1993. The Dunes Hotel and Casino was imploded. 1995, the Landmark Hotel and Casino came tumbling down. Then 1998, it was the famous Aladdin Hotel and Casino. That was taken down. And holding true to tradition, the Las Vegas Motor Speedway began demolition last March. It was rebuilt in 1 short year, and we're just about ready to go racing. But for more on the changes to this track and to help get us ready now for the race, let's head down to our ESPN pit studio. Here's Chris Fowler, Tim Brewer, Brad Doherty. Chris.
All right, Brent, you've taken down a few casinos yourself in your time. Guys, unpredictability, the word that we keep hearing in the garage area. No one quite sure how the changes to this track, Tim, are going to affect the actual racing. Now, the curves are steeper. You hear the guys talking about that. You can see the old on the left, 12-degree banking in those turns. Now it's tilted up to 20 degrees. And notice how much narrower those turns are. The distance between that white line and the wall, 18 feet less than it used to be on the new side. So that means more speed. They've had to adjust the tires, Tim, because of that. How is all this going to translate into the races we're going to see this weekend?
It's going to be a tough day for everybody. You know, the drivers, you know, they've been here. They understand the banking accelerates speed. The speed, you've got less recovery time because you got a narrower surface to recover on. The new pavement, tremendous amount of grip. These guys are going to be flying down in that corner. And it's kind of bumpy down there in 1 and 2. That's where the cars have a tendency to bounce around a little bit, get out of shape. The guys got to carry a lot of speed off the corner. They're not going to get out of that throttle. That's where that wall comes into effect.
Yeah, and you hear Tim talk about grip, and with that grip comes a tremendous amount of load on these race cars, especially that right front tire. And the concern that resonates throughout the garage is tire failure. All of these guys are extremely concerned with these tires giving up. So subsequently, Goodyear comes with the hardest tire compound ever in the history of their tires here. And also the left side tires, which are traditionally a little bit softer, they're going to be harder. They're trying to slow these cars down and create durability. But it's going to be an interesting thing to watch.
Yeah, harder, slower, safer tire. It's going to be a day for pit stops because the fuel cells have been reduced to 13 gallons, so I'm premium on pit stops. And all your former crew chief buddies, they're so grumpy down there in the garage. I know these guys love to whine and moan, but there's an extra amount of complaining this week.
They didn't have a bad night in this casino, folks. They're in a situation where this is a tough animal out here. This big black monster back here, it creates havoc. You know, race car drivers, they love speed. But there again, they're in a situation to where it's going to be devastating if something goes wrong down there in the middle of the corner.
This whole city's built on luck and chance. Why not roll the dice, see how they come up,
roll
huh?
the dice, see what happens. I think we're in for a heck of a race today. It's going to be interesting to see how these tires hold up and how the teams use their strategies.
All right, we'll talk much more about how we expect this race to unfold as we continue to count down to the green flag. There is Juan Pablo Montoya. We'll talk about his exploits in Mexico City as he took out his teammate Scott Pruitt, got the checkered flag, but the NASCAR world still talking about this. What does the concept of teammates mean in this sport? And Tony Stewart, one of the 26 Cup regulars driving in the Busch race. What about the risk versus the reward of trying to pull off the double? Stewart knows about that very well. And we'll take you to the desert with Greg Biffle, a little different kind of racing for one of the favorites here today. Stick around. ESPN on ABC counting down to the green flag in the Busch Series.
of the NASCAR Busch Series on ABC is available in high definition on ABC HD, presented by Vizio. A beautiful Saturday afternoon at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. 43 Busch cars ready to go all in as NASCAR's Technicolor Circus roars into Las Vegas. Travel to Las Vegas, you expect stars, and we've got them in this Busch Series race. Kevin Harvick, who doubled up at Daytona, is going to try to do it again. He's our fastest qualifier, and because this is Vegas, you can back him at 5-1 at any station's casino, but you better hurry, ladies and gentlemen. It's time now to go racing.
And now, the most famous words in motorsports. The Grand Marshal for today's Samstown 300, Major General Billy McCoy.
On behalf of our loyal customers and the thousands of Boyd Gaming employees, we salute today the 60th anniversary of the United States Air Force. Gentlemen, start your engines!
To find out if this track is too dangerous. Let's go upstairs. Jerry Punch, Rusty Wallace, and Andy Petrie. Take it away, Jerry.
Hey, thank you very much, Brent. Glad to have you with us today here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And guys, since the last time the Busch cars came here and raced, a lot has changed. New banking, new pavement, new tires, and they are 10 miles per hour faster than they have ever raced here before. Rusty, as a driver, you're strapping in right now, getting ready to race. What tops your list of concerns?
Jerry, my biggest concern right now is, am I going to crash? There's been 12 crashes in practice with veteran drivers, so they're really concerned about the track, the tire, the track surface, everything itself. You know, I'm going to go down into turn one. I'm going to hope my car sticks good. If I go low, I hit those bumps, and it might throw me back up the racetrack. It's going to take a while for me to figure out what I'm going to need out here to make my car handle good on the top side of the track and on the bottom side of the track.
All these veterans bouncing off the wall in practice sessions here, trying to find the right way to get into turn one. Andy, all these changes have to be a nightmare for a car owner and crew chief. What is your biggest concern here today?
Well, one of the biggest concerns up to now has been trying to get the car to drive comfortably for these guys. You can see these guys bouncing off the walls. The cars are very unpredictable to drive. But then today we've got to figure out how we can use this 9 sets of tires. We got more tires for these guys than they've ever had to work with. We're going to have small fuel cells. They're going to make a lot of pit stops. Pit crews are going to be really busy. And don't forget, we're in Las Vegas, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of gambling on pit road.
A lot of rolling of the dice on pit road, as well as in the race cars here for 300 miles. Well, 43 of the world's best stock car drivers are saddled up and ready to race. We'll wave the green flag when we return. You're watching ESPN on ABC.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Busch Series on ABC. Brought to you by New York Life, the company you keep. Nextel, only from Sprint. And Can-Am. I Can-Am. Can you?
We welcome you back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway here in Las Vegas, Nevada. As you take a look at our starting grid, you'll see that reigning series champion Kevin Harvick has picked up his 22nd career pole, as he will lead him down alongside David Stremme, who has his best starting spot of the year in a Dodge. And while you take a look at our starting grid, let's check in and visit with our in-race reporter, David Gilliland, who starts the car number 25 back in 26th position.
David Gilliland, Rusty Wallace, ESPN. You got us?
You're loud and clear, Rusty.
Dave, you crashed in practice off of turn 4, and a lot of guys have been hitting the bumps down in turn 1 and crashing down there. You feel like you got this car handling well enough to you're comfortable on the track now?
Yeah, all the guys, Todd Brewer and all the guys, they did a great job getting it fixed. All we had was qualifying there, and it was a little conservative, but you know, the car felt great, so I'm really excited, looking forward to the race here today.
All right, Dave, thanks a lot for talking to us.
All right, we'll also be talking with his crew chief on pit road, Todd Brewer.
Hey, Todd Brewer, Andy Petrie up in the booth. Got a coffee? Hey, Todd, I know you guys have struggled a little bit, hit the wall. You got a lot of things going on down there in the pits, and you got a lot of options with all these sets of tires and these small gas tanks and lots of pit stops. What's your strategy?
Can't get some laps under our belt. You know, it's going to be a tough race. The car's going to move around quite a bit. With this tire and the fuel cell, it's going to be a tricky one. But the freecreditreport.com board's going good. We got a couple guys from UFC down here. Usually Dave Sadowski a little rough out there. Dave's done a good job. Everybody had to bounce back from a lot of diversity in practice, but we're happy. Good car. We're looking forward to it.
10-4. Have a good race.
All right, we'll be hearing from David and Todd throughout the afternoon. They will be carrying one of our 8 high-definition onboard cameras here today. You see there's Mike Wallace in the Geico Chevrolet, Kurt Busch in the Penske Truck Rental Dodge, Ryan Coleman in the Z-Line designed machine, David Gilliland you just saw a moment ago in the freecreditreport.com. There's Tony Stewart, the Old Spice Chevy, Carl Edwards, the Dish Network, Stephen Wallace, a 19-year-old in the Wise Trades Dodge, and David Rudeman in the Aaron's Dream Machine Toyota. Those are our 8 high-definition onboard cameras. Will be showing you up close and personal about this new pavement here and turns at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Well, let's update the final stories on pit road first. Here's our Jamie Little.
Well, Doc, what a difference 3 weeks makes. Driver the number 22, David Stremme, showed up at Daytona and failed to qualify. Here in Las Vegas, he is starting second. He's also starting second for the Cup race tomorrow. So I asked him, what are his expectations here in Las Vegas? And he said, there's so many inconsistencies, so many unknowns. I'm looking forward to one fun race. Mike?
Well, Jamie, the defending winner of this race may be Casey Kane, but so far his weekend has not gone as planned. In the first practice, he blew a motor. In the second practice, he slapped the outside wall, pancaking the right side of that car. Afterwards, he said, going through turn 4 is like driving on ice. Dave?
Mike, the first time Kurt Busch raced in the Busch Series was last year. In the first race, he won. So you figure every time he comes out here, he might be really confident about his race car, but not so today. His Nextel Cup car is actually acting very different than his Busch Series car. And he told me just moments ago, the beginning of this race, we're going to have to just sort it out. Could be very interesting for Busch. Alan?
Dave, the last 2 times the NASCAR Busch Series has raced on this type of track, the high-speed, 1.5 mile, 2 mile, they call intermediate tracks, Matt Kenseth has gone to victory lane. Today, he's driving the exact same car used in those wins with nearly the exact same chassis setup. Oh, and today, Matt starts 7th. And that's supposed to be a lucky number here in Vegas, right? Doc?
All right, thank you very much. And guys, typically drivers do not like change. You heard in the pre-race show Tony Stewart talk about he's not very happy with what they've done here, drastically changing this racetrack to raise the bankings and repave it. Your thoughts?
I don't think these guys mind change so much as long as it's for the better. And Tony Stewart didn't see it as being a change for the better. He sees it as being dangerous, and then that forces Goodyear to make a different tire, which makes the cars very unpredictable. So these guys don't mind change as long as it's something in the right direction.
You know, I tell you what, Tony really gets aggressive with his statements. He doesn't like the track right now, but I will tell you, if he comes back next year, I think he's really going to like the track much better. Once the track seasons in a little bit, the track, you know, doesn't get so grippy. It's not so black. Goodyear's going to bring a softer tire back, and these cars are going to stick much better. And I got a feeling then Tony Stewart's going to like this place a lot more.
Well, Chris Powell told me yesterday they were trying to change the racetrack to make the racing better, to give us better grooves. And they had the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series trucks here back in September, and they had 2 grooves. They had a high groove so you could run side by side, which typically in the past was very difficult to do here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Again, the banking is 20 degrees, up from 12 a year ago. The backstretch is 9 degrees, up from 3 degrees a year ago. They have narrowed this track from 85 to 55 feet, making it much narrower in the corner. And now, here in the show capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada, a record crowd of over 105,000 fans are on their feet as 43 of the world's finest NASCAR Busch Series drivers are set to perform for 300 miles on a national stage. They sail by at 185 plus miles an hour. Here is the critical exit of turn 4, lap 1. Now the bump everyone's talking about is entering turn 1. Will everyone get across the ripple as Harvick leads them down?
That's my main concern right now, Jerry, is getting into turn 1. It's very rough on the bottom side of the track. If these guys get in side by side, meaning the inside car compacted up against the outside car, they're going to lose their downforce and spin out. We saw that a lot off of turn 4 at Charlotte Motor Speedway with the same tire. Can make the car very loose.
I see that outside groove already coming in on the first lap. You see these cars, see Tony Stewart on the outside making a little ground. He's actually faster than the guy on the bottom.
We watched practice this morning in the NASCAR Cup Series. Those guys had 2 grooves going right away. They can race all over this place, Andy. You see Kyle Busch on the apron right now, back up on top of the racetrack. Turn 1 they're entering right now. This is where they're complaining about the track being so rough.
Harvick going by, David Strimmy in second spot, 2 cars, and we've seen more side-by-side racing already than we've seen in years past here at Las Vegas. Look at Tony Stewart on the inside in the 33 car.
First on the outside, then on the inside. He powers up under Regan Smith. And there, we saw Kyle Busch go below the white line. We don't have that rule here at Las Vegas like we do at Daytona, where these guys can't improve their position. They can go below that line anywhere on the racetrack.
And Andy, they said earlier this racetrack is one banking angle. It's 20 degrees. I've talked to several drivers who went down and actually measured the corners, and this track does have some compound banking into it. I mean, it's a little flatter on the bottom than it does up top. I don't know if that was by design or what happened. Hey, we just got a change for second place. Kyle Busch, or Kurt Busch, just moved into second place in the Penske Truck Leasing car. This is his hometown. He wants to win this thing.
Well, when you saw David Strimmy have a little bit of a bobble, a wiggle there as the 12 car of Kurt Busch makes the pass for second spot. Kurt's first start in the NASCAR Busch Series this year. In trouble out of turn 4, the 85 car slams the outside wall heavily with the driver's side and comes to rest across in the grass. And just that quickly at lap number 4, we have caution on the racetrack. Brett Lowe.
He was lucky enough to catch part of that safer barrier on the front straightaway. As they come off turn 4, there's no barrier, no safer barrier, and then as you get in the tri-oval, there is, and he was lucky enough to catch that safer barrier.
I mean, I tell you guys, that was a hard left-hand impact. I saw him moving around the car a little bit, the window nuts down. That is a great sign because he hit driver's side first awful hard.
Brett Rowe there with the safety crews getting to him. A hard impact coming out of turn 4.
He just loses it off of turn 4, loses that grip. He was all by himself. And that's what they're concerned about. These tires are so hard. The track was so new. We predicted earlier where we're going to see a lot of caution flags. You know, I hope it stops. But that is the biggest problem. The car's just running and just losing grip.
Yeah, and I just saw that replay where he actually did not hit the safer barrier. He hit the hard concrete wall just before the safer barrier. So that was a hard lick.
You know, there's a lot of guys, when they were building these racetracks, I really think as fast as they're running, they should bring that softer wall around the corner a little bit farther, because when they spin off of turn 4, a lot of times, like I'm seeing at this racetrack, they actually get in the wall farther past it. So, you know, sometimes you got to run a race at a brand new racetrack to figure out what you need to do. And I really think they need to bring that softer wall a little farther. That's good news seeing them get out of that car. That was a scary crash.
Yeah, it shows you how safe these cars are with the Hans devices and the safer barriers. Brett Rowe walks away. We are under yellow for the first time this afternoon in the early laps here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Stay with us. Back at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, let's look at the top 5. After 10 laps, we've only had 4 green flag laps. The other 6 have been run under yellow. In the spin and violent impact of Brett Rowe up in turn 4, the 85 car, he's walked away okay, thanks to NASCAR's safety restraints there. And a moment ago, we were able to listen in a little bit with the driver of the 90 car, Stephen Light, talking to his team about the racetrack conditions.
One of those days where you'd be a lot faster if you're just a little snug than loose, because these tires are so hard when you're loose, there's just no warning, you know?
Yeah, 10-4. Thought that's about where we were, you know, based off yesterday, but track's a lot harder now.
And Andy Petrie, we talked at the beginning of the show, this has got to be a nightmare for a crew chief to try to constantly communicate and adjust for what's happening on the racetrack when they've never run here before at speed with these many cars at one time.
Yeah, these crew chiefs are paying real close attention to these comments. I talked to Casey Kane yesterday, and he was just talking about the unpredictability of all the race cars.
All right, pace car is pulled away as the crew chiefs are ready to give their drivers the green flag notification from the flag stand. Challenge for third spot very quickly entering turn one as the 29 car of Jeff Burton goes to the high side of David Stremme.
Yeah, Jeff Burton got a really good restart on the outside. He did anything illegal. He did it on, passed on the outside, went down into turn one, where there appears to be two grooves already. Going into turn three, Jeff still got a good run on the top side of David Stremme, and a lot of confidence up there in that second groove.
Yeah, Chris Powell's got to be pretty happy with this right here. We heard Tony Stewart be very critical of the racetrack, but right off the bat, these guys running too wide.
As you watch this pack, you see the 17 car. That is the effort of Matt Kenseth, and he now is showing some strength. Kenseth back in the 5th position. There's the 17 behind the 22. Kenseth who swept both events at California in the NASCAR Busch Series and Nextel Cup. Kenseth goes underneath Stremme.
And that's where they got to be careful, Jerry. Oh, I just started to say, you got to really be worried about that.
Behind you, got 3 in the wall.
And
come on, get on good.
The cars are flying down pit road right now. The 41 car to 66 of Stephen Wallace.
Pretty bad here, Drew.
Denny Hamlin, they got slowed down. Guys, I just got ready to say you got to be careful off of 4 with the aero loose, Andy. If you get too close to your car, you can lose that downforce and slide up. And a veteran did that, Matt Kenseth.
Well, I saw that coming. David Stremme didn't give Matt Kenseth any extra room going in that corner. He had him hugged down on the bottom so tight that he didn't have any room to work. When his car got a little bit loose underneath him, he didn't have any room to catch it.
Well, one thing we need to remember, this tire is the same tire they ran at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and they freshly repaved that racetrack. The characteristics seem to be the very same. Off of turn 4, if they get locked down real tight, where they don't have enough room to maneuver and get away from that car, they spin. Now, they've been doing that here in turn 4. They've been doing it down in turn 1. If I was a crew chief, I'd be saying, be careful right there.
What I'm going to tell my crew chief right now is give and take, guys.
All right, let's show you again. We were watching the 17 car. He just breaks free, and right behind him is the 2 of Clint Boyer.
You see a lot of guys hitting down pit road right now. It's the right way to do it. They avoid that. They slow down. They've slowed down right now. There's no penalty. They can go back up in the racetrack.
Here's a 24 Casey Mears spinning. The other cars coming into your picture as you see the 17 spin down in the grass. The 15 of Paul Menard, the yellow car middle of your screen. He's involved. The 16. Watch again at turn 4. Watch the 17 car slide, and right behind him the 2 car goes with him.
Yeah, they're just trying to. Clint Boyer was just trying to avoid the wreck, and he ended up getting caught up in it.
On board the Wise Trade roof camera for Steve Wallace. And you can see that Stephen Wallace was trying to be very careful back behind this bunch as the repairs are what's left. And that was a brand new car for Casey Mears at California, and he had a phenomenal finish. Finished second, had a shot at winning that race. The National Guard car that is certainly paying tribute to the 41st Infantry Brigade out of Oregon. They do that every week, paying tribute to some part of the National Guard, and they thought they were going to have a car to contend with today.
Yeah, I just talked to Chad Walters in the garage this morning, and this is the very thing he was worried about. He told me, he says, look, we got a great car. We had the same car we ran in California. But he says, man, I'm really worried about what's going to happen out there today, and we can see why.
On here again, Steve Wallace. Now watch ahead of Steve.
In front of you. Go low, go low, go low. There you go. Ease it up, ease it up, ease it up.
Spotter's doing a really good job with Steven, slowing him down. Steve did a great job getting off the racetrack down pit road in that Wise Trade car. That was just an incredible move. because I'll tell you, the NASCAR will tell you in the drivers' meetings, guys, if you got to go to pit road, do it, but slow down. A lot of these guys, including Steven, have been in that position before and sped down pit road and got penalties for doing that.
Here's the first pit stops of the day. Many of these guys, Andy, taking fuel only. A couple are taking tires.
Well, they're going to have to take advantage of this caution to get some fuel in that car to extend the range out so they can make the full run. A lot of guys, I mean, I don't see very many tire changes among the top guys, and most of them just getting 2 that are changing tire.
Danny Hamlin changing tires. So did Paul Menard, Carl Edwards, and here is the 6th car of David Reagan on pit road. As we check in the pits where Dave is caught up with Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, Matt rolled his car back in here, Jerry, done for the day with the automobile. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just, you know, the cars were real loose. It was pretty treacherous on this tire, and I thought I was okay. I thought I lifted early to get in underneath Remy there, and he was so close to my door, it just took the air off my car, and I couldn't control it all, and I thought I had it straightened out and just was going to get back to the gas, and he went by me so fast it just sucked my car around. So there's just not much traction on these tires when you take the air off the car. Besides the tire, they're hard to hang on to. So it's just my mistake. I should have known better and put myself in that position, and we're done for the day.
Very tough end of the day for Matt, a former winner here in the Cup Series. And guys, we talked about the unpredictability of this place. Tough to drive these race cars today.
You know, in the NASCAR Busch Series meeting this morning, the officials were going to remind the drivers be careful about the loss of side bite in the corner when you're running side by side because of the new tire and the new pavement and the unpredictability. What are they really talking about, which was what we just saw a moment ago?
They need just a little bit of room to work. If they can get the cars to spread out just a little bit, just another foot or 2 between these cars, makes them more stable. That's what Matt was saying. I noticed when they went in that corner, they were really close together, and I saw some problems developing there. And Matt said he was just so close that he thought he was okay, but then all of a sudden he wasn't. The air just hits the sides of these cars funny and there's all kinds of aero loose. We hear that all the time. This was the side-by-side version of aero loose.
Cars getting inside of another, one up high, and suddenly you don't have a lot of grip. And you saw what happened to Matt Kenseth. Tony Stewart started in the back of the pack, dodged this wreck, and is on his way to the front. We'll find out if he can get there when we come back in a moment.
It's the eye of a tiger.
You're watching ESPN on ABC. NASCAR Busch Series racing here at Las Vegas. We are under caution for the 2nd time. This one coming out on lap 13 for troubles again in turn 4.
As the 17 car Matt Kenseth gets close to the 20 car David Stremme, he has to pull back down. He loses his aerodynamic downforce. The 2 car of Clint Bowyer's right on his tail causes the car to spin out.
It's almost like a perfect storm where you have 2 cars running side by side, and then you have another car stuffed right up under your back bumper.
All right, this is a classic example of aero loose. So our resident crew chief, Andy Petrie, take us through this and show us what you're talking about.
Well, as we see this red car, our ESPN car, he's just going along fine, and he's got another car coming up. The green car comes up behind him. As they get close, they start packing that air right behind that other car, the red car. Creates a little bit of lift in the back, makes the rear tires not grip. We see the back end slide out from under him. Then the green car just motors on by.
Now, Andy, that's a classic case of aero loose. The loosest we're seeing around here, though, another version of that, is when the inside car goes alongside the outside car. He gets so close that the air can't pass down between the cars. The inside car gets loose also and spins out. Now, look, that's what we're going to see a lot of going into turn 1, turn 3, and off of turn 4 here.
These cars very sensitive to the changes here for this first time on the new racetrack. As we check in down in the pits with Dave Burns.
And Clint Bowyer, who was caught up in this mess. Clint, talk to us about how difficult this track is to race today.
I mean, I'm afraid that's just going to be a product of this track and this tire. But, you know, you're just going fast out there, and, you know, I'm surprised. I wish I had an in-car camera. I'm surprised he held on to it that long. You know, it's just, you got to be able to pass. You got to be able to get under the people and pass them. And as we saw right there, as I had a bird's eye view of it, I mean, he's, like I say, I'm surprised he held on to it that long. But the BB&T Chevrolet, I just hate it for these guys. Car was really good, and we were just kind of riding, being patient, and unfortunately, some others weren't.
Clint running a partial schedule this year. Too bad he's out early, Chris.
All right, thanks to early cautions. Bowyer, along with Mears and Kenseth, taken out in that incident. Earlier, it was Brent Rowe. Now let's talk strategy, Mr. Brewer. You guys both said it's about track position, track position, track position. that versus pitting right now?
Well, Andy, he might have a different opinion, but you know, the leaders, they came in and they just dumped fuel in the car, which I thought that was a pretty good deal. But the 20 car, he elected to put some tires on the car, and you know, maybe he had a chassis problem, wanted to tighten the thing up or free it up, whatever he wanted to do with it. But right now, it's kind of early for me to be getting on new tires.
Yeah.
The top 3 cars did not pit, so J.J. Yaley will lead Montoya and Dirks down into turn 1 here on lap 20. Kevin Harvick sneaks beneath the 3rd place car and just comes sailing up out of turn 2 with the 12 car of Kurt Busch and Strimmy and the 29 of Burton in tow.
These guys don't seem to be scared of the racetrack whatsoever. You saw Kyle Busch go right around the outside of Stephen Wallace and just, you know, not even slow down at all. Just kind of blew his doors off, so to speak, coming off of turn 2. A lot of head of steam, and then they ran 3 wide. Kurt Busch, Las Vegas veteran, very good at this racetrack, and his car's been good in practice, guys.
We just see Kurt Busch's car wiggle a little bit getting into turn 1. We see some of that aero loose going on right there. Jeff Burton was right up behind him, and you can see it back in the Kurt Busch car just dancing around and moved him up in that upper groove.
Now, Andy, let's take a look at the 29 car Jeff Burton. You see Kurt Busch is staying away from him. They got that column of air coming down the side of the car. But if they went in the corner side by side, I'll tell you what, that'll turn some cars loose.
It takes give and take out here. These guys got to give a little bit, make sure they give each other enough room to race, because if the guy under them gets loose, they're going to get crashed themselves. So they have to play defense.
All right, Kevin Harvick, the 2nd car on your screen now, is pulled up to the rear deck of J.J. Yaley. Again, Yaley did not pit. Harvick in the 21, and the next 5 to 7 cars all have been on pit road, and he is getting ready to inhale Yaley coming out of the turn as you ride along with the Penske on board for Kurt Busch.
We're going to see this all day long. We're going to see different pit strategies, guys staying out on the racetrack, guys getting gas, guys getting to. So it's going to jumble this field all day long. We're going to see this all day.
These cars are running extremely high air pressures in these tires. Pressure so high, almost like qualifying pressures what teams normally do. This is a new design tire, which requires much more air pressure to stay competitive. You're talking 62 pounds as a minimum right front air pressure, guys. That is awful, awful high.
Incredible air pressure in the right front to keep these cars up. And again, Goodyear is using a tire from Lowe's Motor Speedway from Charlotte on the right side. They have built a special tire for the left just to handle the pavement and all the loads these teams are feeling with the cars.
Yeah, these loads are extremely high on this high-speed racetrack, and NASCAR has mandated, Goodyear's actually suggested.
Oh, here's trouble for last week's winner, Juan Pablo Montoya. Mike
well,
Massaro?
Jerry, we heard Juan Pablo Montoya say at the top of the show he now wants to win on an oval. Well, looks like the chances of that happening today are very slim. A tire problem for Juan Pablo Montoya. He's been battling an ill-handling race car most of the afternoon. He pitted early about 10 laps ago because the car was really loose. They added 3 pounds of pressure to the left side, took the rubber out of the right rear. This time, though, they're really tight. They think they might have a fender pushed in right now, and they're trying to solve that problem. 4 tire change for Juan Pablo Montoya. The car just not where he wants to be right now.
Montoya, who became the first Hispanic driver to win a NASCAR Busch Series on pit road, while they are mixing it up on the racetrack. Harvick is the leader. The 29 is Burton. The 12 of Kurt Busch.
Heating up front. I like this racy racetrack. You've got 2 grooves, 2 distinct grooves we can see right here, with Kevin Harvick working the top groove, Jeff Burton working the bottom.
And Rusty, Jeff Burton in the 29 car has won twice at this racetrack in a Busch car, twice in a Cup car. What is it about some drivers and certain racetracks?
These are veterans, Jerry. They have a lot of confidence in your car, but look at the 29s wiggling the back of that car all through the corner. He's extremely loose. He's running that second lane in turn 3 and 4. He's getting a lot of head of steam. I was watching him on turn 1 now, all the way up to the top of the racetrack, working the back bumper of Kevin Harvick, trying to get that big run off the corner. But as doing that, he's getting his car very loose in that situation.
Jeff Burton's had a lot of success in Las Vegas, but this is a brand new racetrack. He's never won a race on this racetrack. It's totally brand new. He takes the lead from Kevin Harvick off turn 4. His car looks really good here. It's handling great.
This is the car, the 29 car, by the way, that led so many laps at California in the second race of the year, only to fade late. Jeff Burton says, we had the best car to beat. We're going to show people at Las Vegas. Look at the 10 car here. That is Dave Blaney in the Toyota beginning to make a move as we check in with Dave.
Hey, guys. Guys, on that 29 car of Jeff Burton, talked to his crew chief, Pat Smith, this morning about the end of that race, Jerry, and I said, did you guys talk a little bit about that? You saved a set of tires that maybe wasn't the best for the end of that race. He said, yep, we're done with that. Jeff is okay with the decision we made based on how that race went. But today we've got, we hope, the best set saved for the end, and we hope we put it on at the right time, because really the only time they were bad in that California race was right at the very end.
Andy Petrie saving tires. They've been doing it for a long time, and some of the best crew chiefs that are really good at it can win a race for you.
Well, the reason they know that's their best set of tires is because they scuffed. They got to run these tires in practice. They have 9 sets of tires. I talked to these crew chiefs. Almost all these teams ran every single one of these of their sets of tires. We got a battle for second.
Indeed it is. We told you the Toyota was on the move. This is Dave Blaney in the 10 car trying to move inside of the Dodge of Kurt Busch. And Blaney moving up. And look at the 5 car right behind him. That is Las Vegas native Kyle Busch. And guys, he started back in 20th position.
Well, he's been working the top side of the racetrack, Jerry, and really making a lot of ground up there. Turn 1 and 2 and turn 3 and 4. You see him run up on him right now. And back in the pack, I'll tell you what, they are 3 wide back here. So the cars are sliding around all over the racetrack. They're lacking grip. And you see them dancing around. Even the cars running fast are dancing around like the 10 car was earlier.
And we check into the Kyle Busch pits with Jamie Lou.
Well, Doc, we talked to Kyle Busch before the race. You know, this is his hometown. We keep talking about it. He graduated from high school here, graduated early with honors, mind you. Very intelligent man, but he wants to win in front of his home crowd. The car, he said, is working great. He's very quiet on the radio right now. And as you can see, he started 20th, and right now he's currently running 4th. So far, a good run. Everything's solid for Kyle Busch.
Now, how in the world can everyone else be slipping and sliding and having trouble gripping the racetrack, and Kyle Busch just comes sailing to the front so quickly?
That's the way he likes his car. If you'll watch, when he runs good, the back end of his car is slipping and sliding all over the place. He likes his car loose.
You watch him, these style racetracks, these 1.5 mile tracks, he's always really competitive on these fast tracks where conditions are the way are their day. There's been a lot of tracks he's run that have been repaved that he's been exceptionally good on, and the day he's doing it again. Now, we've seen this field spread out just a little bit. Seems like these guys have calmed down a little bit. They kind of got their game going on, and they're feeling a bit more comfortable with the track. Also, the fuel's burning off, Andy, and when the fuel burns off, that makes the car not as loose.
Yeah, it definitely changes the handling characteristics as the fuel burns down. But Brad Daugherty called it with Kyle Busch. He said he was his favorite to win, and he's looking awful strong right now.
Let's remind the fans again that we are at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. As you watch the 33 car of Tony Stewart on the move, and they have smaller fuel cells here today. They only have 13 gallons versus the 22 gallons they normally run. They also have a new banking, 20 degrees, new pavement, a new tire. They're 10 miles per hour faster, and they've got their hands full, as Tony Stewart told you during the pre-race. But hey, he's on the march.
He is on the march. I tell you, his car looks good, and he's been critical of this racetrack all week long, and actually in the testing sessions earlier in the year. And he's got his car working pretty good. And I got a feeling if he's able to win this race, he might tone that down just a little bit.
They're putting a lot of the Goodyear rubber down on the track right now. You see down in turn 3 and 4, and off the turn right now that the track is getting really black. It's gray on the top side of the track, black on the bottom. Folks at home, that means there's a lot of rubber. That makes the car handle better, makes the cars much more predictable, and that's what's going on in the racetrack right now. Also, they're able to run the second lane with ease now.
Lap 35 of 200. It has already been an eventful afternoon, as this new racetrack has reached out and bitten a couple of drivers. Lap 4, the 85 car slammed the wall up out of turn 4. And of course, on lap 13, it all broke loose as well.
The action, just lay it on the line. I'll bet you 10 to 1 you be mine. Now once I had a filly.
Staying green in Vegas. Meanwhile, a program reminder, NBA action continues tomorrow on ESPN and ABC. First at 3 Eastern on ABC. Carmelo Anthony, Allen Iverson and the Nuggets take on Mike Bibby and the Sacramento Kings. 9 Eastern on ESPN. Dallas Mavericks, led by Dirk Nowitzki, try to extend its winning streak as they take on Kobe and the Lakers. NBA Sunday on ESPN and ABC. Available on high definition. And right now, let's go back upstairs, and here's Jerry Punch. Jerry.
All right, thank you very much, Brent. We have a new leader here. It is Kyle Busch, the Las Vegas native, all the way from 20 starting spot. He has sailed toward the front. Now, we'll show you just what happened a moment ago as he was able to reel in the 29 of Jeff Burton.
He's got so much momentum going into turn 3 right on the bottom of the racetrack. Every now and then throughout the race, a car has one of the best. Different people get better handles on their car. Some have loose cars, some have tight cars, some have perfect cars. And right now, the 5 car is the best car in the field. He just went by about 0.3 of a second faster than anybody on the racetrack.
Excuse me, Jerry, we saw Jeff Burton's car really wiggle there in 3 and 4, and I think he'd been fighting it just a little bit and allowed Kyle Busch to catch him, and then when he wiggled, he just took the advantage.
You see Kyle Busch now has pulled away to about a 7 or 8 car length advantage over Jeff Burton. Now, while you watch this battle here toward the front, let's check in with our pit studio where Brad Daugherty, I believe, might have a question for one of our experts.
Yeah, Rusty Wallace, I have a question about the fuel burn off. Why is it that the car seems to get more grip or is able to get more grip when the fuel starts to burn off as opposed to having a full load of fuel and having more grip? Why is that?
Well, Brad, generally the cars don't handle better, but if they're a loose condition, like you see the back of these cars sliding around a lot, the back of the fuel cell where the fuel's located, there's 13 gallons of gas back there, and that's like rear pendulum weight. It's like taking a big old hunk of lead or something very heavy and tying the back of your car. When it goes in the corner, the back of the car tries to sling around, and as that fuel burns off, that gets less and less and less, and lets the guys have a lot more confidence on entry with a lighter back end. It's all about pendulum weight. It's all about the back of the car trying to slide around. And under these conditions, where everybody's fighting loose conditions, the car's sliding around, that really helps. As the fuel burns off, the tires gain a little bit of pressure and get a little more grip starts coming in.
While you're watching these cars up front, we will mention that the 14 car of young Kyle Krisiloff was given a black flag. That's a consultation flag by NASCAR for speeding as he was exiting pit road a moment ago. He had to pass through. Now, Kyle Busch is the leader. Let's check in his pits with Jamie Little.
Well, just a few moments ago, Doc, there was a big scare in the 5 pits. Kyle radioed back to Alan Gustafson, his crew chief, and said the pitch just changed at the end of the backstretch. He thought he was going to blow up. So Alan told him switch electrical boxes. So far, Kyle came on and said it all sounds good now. So that could have been a problem. So I want Rusty maybe to elaborate on switching boxes and what exactly that does. But right now, he is the leader. Rusty.
Well, right now, I think what's going on, if he had a little bit of miss in the engine, he tried switching ignition boxes to clear it up. But generally, if you have a total failure, then you switch ignition boxes. I've really never seen an ignition box start missing. It happened a couple times in my career, but that's something that very seldom happens.
And here's a car slowing down, the 99 of David Rudiman. Speaking of problems, and Alan, we are being told he does not have any power at all.
Well, we're just talking about ignition boxes. The last lap by, David Rudiman switched ignition boxes. You heard a pop into the engine, did not fix the problem. He's slowing on the racetrack, and they have some troubles under the hood.
9 times out of 10, when that engine misses, it's hardly ever the ignition. That's the first thing drivers want to change is the ignition. That's the first thing you can change. But most of the time when that engine changes pitch and it changes tone, it means you got some problems in there. And if I'm Kyle Busch and his crew, I'm a little bit worried about that pitch sound that they said that changed.
That's one thing as a driver you can touch. You can go, you can grab that switch in and you can switch it and you go, oh my gosh, I hope this fixes the problem. But it never does. If you have an ignition problem, it's going to stop running completely. And when you hit that second box, it's going to fire back up and go. Never does it fix a miss.
All right, caution being waved now to the field. You see David Rudiman now coasting down toward pit road. Rudiman, by the way, in the top 10 in the NASCAR Busch Series points after 3 events. And this problem could cost him severely early on in the standings. As we will have the 3rd caution flag of the day here in lap 50. As we ride along with David Rudiman, and the car apparently was running fine and then just sort of missed, sputtered, and shut off. Let's listen in.
That doesn't sound like ignition to me.
No, it really did. It sounds like an internal problem, doesn't it?
Yeah, that didn't sound good. I don't believe they're going to be able to fix this. Nice quiet ride back to the garage area for David Rudiman.
He went down into turn 3. He was wide open on the throttle. He got out of the throttle for the normal turn, back into it, and then it quit. It sounded like a Gosh, I've seen rotor buttons and the distributors back when they used to have those break, but this did sound internal.
Well, this caution flag of the day will make the 25 car. That car there for David Gilliland, the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass. He was the first driver, 1 lap down, and now gets to go back on the lead lap. And by the way, the free pass is you get to pass the pace car and go back around the racetrack and get back on the lead lap. He is the Lucky Dogs Aaron's free pass award winner. Well, under caution now here on lap number 50. The leaders will peel off and head down pit road. Let's head down to Alan Bestwood.
Nice track position play by J.J. Yaley's team. Stayed out under the last caution, moved himself from 36th starting spot up to the lead, only faded to 10th here. They catch the nice break on the yellow, getting back in pit sequence with everybody else. 4-tire change and an adjustment. Dave?
Jeff Burton is in. He said we have lost our turn, the ability for his car to make the turns as well as they were at the start of the race. Air pressure out of the right front to help that. Jamie.
Kyle Busch, the leader, coming in. 4 tires stop and full fuel. No adjustments on the 5 car. Mike.
Kevin Harvick coming in 6th. He said the front tires are chattering a little bit tight. Needs a little bit rear grip off, but tight in the center. 4 tires for Kevin Harvick.
And there's a race off pit road. What a great effort by the Penske crew for Kurt Busch in the 12 car. He gains 4 spots. Kyle Busch, as you heard, he had 4 tires and fuel, lost a spot. And there's the times in the race off pit road. We are under caution here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the 3rd time a day as the cars race off pit road. We'll be back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations.
Las Vegas Motor Speedway is a pretty cool track. It's been reconfigured. They changed it. They narrowed the racetrack up. They put progressive banking in the corners. You should be able to run the bottom of the racetrack, the middle, or the top of the racetrack. It's designed to have better side-by-side competitive racing.
Vegas, obviously, now with the new service and new configuration, is very, very fast.
It's way faster than it's been in the past.
This racetrack's so fast. It's unbelievable how fast Vegas is now. I'm expecting to see early in runs a lot of cars out of control. It's going to be pretty wild.
And we welcome you back to the Sam's Town 300 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And this is the 99 car of David Rudiman. You just heard from a moment ago as he is in the garage here. Here's the 7 car, the Geico Chevrolet of Mike Wallace, being shown in 29th position. He is the last car on a lead lap. And here is the 29 car of Jeff Burton back in 4th spot after that major air pressure change to get the car to turn in the corners. He's being shown back in 4th as they sail toward the green flag here and the restart on lap 54.
Be ready. Be ready. Green flag, green flag.
Sailing down the back straightaway, the 12 of Kurt Busch driving for Roger Penske. It is the Busch brothers show up front. Kurt Busch in the 12 and Kyle Busch in the 5.
Well, this is the point of the race. Early in these runs where these guys got to be really careful. These tires, the pressure isn't up yet. They're cold. And I look out and I can see a lot of these cars dancing around. Look, I'm seeing the whites in their gloves just sashaying back and forth as we're watching them come down the straightaway. They're steering these cars so hard you can actually see it through the windshields.
The Busch boys are out here in clean air, but back here in the pack where these guys are racing some lap cars, it's really pretty dicey.
How about the fact that as you watch these cars back in the pack, Denny Hamlin, who finished 2nd at Mexico City last week, 2nd in the points. There's the wiggle you're talking about, Rusty, in the 41 car.
Oh, yeah. See, they're getting real loose right now. You see the 15 car up underneath Stephen Wallace. Makes him loose. He goes to the bottom. But this aero loose is really something big time out there right now. They can get very loose early in these runs.
Somebody forgot to tell Stephen Wallace he was wiggling, and he just keeps going. He didn't back off at all.
His car's been flying out there today. It's really handling well. He's just got to hold on to it. As you see it moving around right now, these guys have got to be careful early in the run.
Well, Steve Wallace now being shown in 13th position. He was the fastest qualifier among the non-Cup Series drivers that were there. He's the first Busch Series regular in qualifying as we check in his pits.
Well, Jerry, a good race car perhaps is the best medicine for Stephen Wallace right now. I've been told he's battling a touch of the flu, and his uncle Kenny Wallace is on standby. But perhaps it's that incentive from his car owner that's keeping him out there right now. If he finishes inside the top 15, his car owner, his dad, the guy sitting next to you, is going to pay for 900 square feet of carpet in his new place.
Guys, Reed Sorensen in the Juicy Fruit car. We heard so much about that Juicy Fruit car last week when Scott Pruitt was in it. He came in right front flat, guys. They made almost runs over his crew member, but he is out and away.
Oh, hard crash out of turn.
Hold the brake right there. Hold the brake. Hold the brake. Nice save.
And Marcus Ambrose, the Australian driver and rookie contender, who was a noted road racer, used a little road racing skill, Rusty, to get that car spun around.
Guys, come on.
As we're listening to this radio chatter right now.
Do we hit anything? I think so.
We were talking right before that accident happened, guys. These guys are all over the racetrack. You saw them sliding everywhere. You can just tell this track is so abrasive on the tires. The tires are so hard. These guys have no grip. They're just all over the place out there right now. They got to get some time in before they can get racing again because they're sliding around. Look at Ambrose. Got that rear end kicked out all the way around. Jerry, when you get in that position, man, you just cannot catch it. That thing's gone.
He spins the car. You see the roof flaps come up, Rusty, and it's like he nails the throttle. Watch the smoke come off the tires, and what a job. It's sort of...
Well, Marcus did a great job holding on to that car right there. Generally, you don't ever spin off a turn 4 and not hit anything, but he didn't touch nothing. I'm sure he was surprised as anybody. A spin that would have made Joey Chitwood proud, the famous thrill show creator. Marcus Ambrose from Tasmania, just south of Australia. A two-time road racing champion and the co-leader for Rookie of the Year this year, spins it around and brings out caution. Andy, as a car owner, you're going to love to see a guy keep it off the wall.
It looked like a lot of skill and a little luck in this one. We can see that's almost a classic case of aero loose. We saw that the 18 car get right up behind him there and get him loose. Got behind on his steering and got really lucky off turn 4 not to hit the wall. You know, it feels, when you watch these cars, it looks like they're just on top of the racetrack sliding around, meaning that if you're a driver, we talk this language all the time. When you drive down on turn 1, the car sits in the ground, it gets a lot of wheel travel, and you really feel the grip of the car. But sometimes you drive in, and it feels like the car just never gets down. It just stands on top of the racetrack and skates along, doesn't travel the wheels as much as it's supposed to, and that's what it looked like happened to Marcus Ambrose. He was on top of that racetrack getting in, it just busted right out from underneath him.
Well, you heard Greg Connor, the crew chief, talking to him a moment ago. Let's check in his pits with Jamie Little.
Well, Doc, Marcos Ambrose leading the rookie points right now. Basically, he came in, he got some sticker tires, went out and said they were horrible, just totally inconsistent from the other tires they've been running. He spun it out, and as we saw, heck of a save for him. And his crew chief counting him down now. Marcos Ambrose just making his 4th start this year. Hey, Tim Brewer, want to elaborate a little bit?
Hey, I'm 59 car. You know, he's back here in the back and all that dirty air. He spins off coming off that corner. Hey, I've been monitoring those lap times. The 12 car, lap 56, run 31:30. He likes that air out front, Rusty. Got that downforce on those hot tires. Feels awful good.
Well, the lap time of 31:30, that's a very fast lap time. As Tim was saying, you fans are generally listening to miles per hour, but like we said earlier in the show, we like talking lap times. So 31:30, that's awful quick around the racetrack. In fact, that's one of the fastest laps on the track right now.
All right, we told you up front it is a battle of the Busch brothers, who basically cut their teeth at a little racetrack just off the corner here, a little 3/8 mile track where they began racing when they were youngsters, as we check in the Kurt Busch pits.
And Doc, how important do you think track position was at that little bull ring? Everything, huh? That's a lesson they learned very well, and that's really applying here today at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. A lot of guys told me that before the race. Track position would be important. This 12 team decided to take on 2 right side tires on that pit stop. They did that. They gained 4 positions and the lead on pit road. And Kurt radioed back as soon as this caution came out. Good adjustments. They made a little air pressure adjustment to help a loose race car.
Guys, that lines up behind the safety car. We'll see if Kurt Busch can hold off Kyle Busch. And the younger brother is Kyle by 7 years.
Be ready. Green flag.
Montoya, last week's winner in Mexico City, along with his teammate, the 41 Reed Sorensen. On Pablo Montoya, by the way, being shown 3 laps down in 36th position because of a problem and an unscheduled pit stop early on.
And Jerry, this is what Pablo Montoya wanted. Montoya's car has not been handling good all week long here. Brad Parrott had that car handling perfect last week at Mexico City. They have just not hit on it here. I'm afraid he's not going to win his first oval track race today unless something crazy happens. But he is so unhappy with this car. Now his Cup car in the race on Sunday, he's very happy with that car. In fact, he was 4th quick in practice.
Speaking of the struggles for Montoya, let's check in their pits with Mike.
Well, Doc, you know what they say, you're only as good as your next race. Well, after the euphoria of Mexico City, that's dissipated. Trouble on the racetrack.
Out of turn 4, oh, heavy one car sliding across and nowhere for Brent Sherman to go as the 18 car, that is the Joe Gibbs car.
Not bad over, Terry.
Oh, boy, that's unlucky
looks like
dog.
You got the right rear pretty good.
Well, so much what I just said. Hey, he just got the lucky dog. Now he's very unlucky.
As you see now, the window net is down. That is the sign that NASCAR asked the drivers, if you are okay, put the window net down. And here is the 18 car of Brad Coleman, the 19-year-old out of Houston, Texas, driving for Joe Gibbs and making only his 4th career start and having a pretty good run here until that car just sort of got away up at turn 4. Well, let's ride along and see what happened to the youngster up in turn 4 as he goes by the 28 car. And suddenly the bobble, and it's up against the wall, thus bringing out yellow for the 5th time today.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Busch Series on ABC, brought to you by Nationwide is on your side. TGI Fridays Restaurant's new right portion, right price menu. Give me more Fridays. And Just for Men, stay in the game with Just for Men hair color.
Record crowd on hand at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We are under yellow for the 5th time this afternoon as the cars are slowed behind the pace car. Let's visit with our in-race reporter, David Gilliland.
Dave Gillen, Rusty Wallace, ESPN. You got us?
Gotcha, Rusty.
David, these guys are spinning out all over this racetrack. The cars all look out of control. Which one of these corners is giving you the most problem?
Right there, coming off a forward, but he's kind of wrecking there. It's treacherous. The track just lost a little bit of grip, and our FreeCreditReport.com Ford Fusion's a little on the free side already. So, you know, with the track losing grip, it's just we're really trying to get this thing tightened up.
We heard Tony Stewart earlier complaining like crazy about the racetrack. What do you think of the track? You think it just needs a year on it? What's your opinion?
You know, I don't know. You know, I don't know if this heat, you know, is bringing any of the oils up or what. But, yeah, some curing would be nice for it. I think, you know, next year, too, when we come back with, if Goodyear brings it back a little bit different tire, that'd help, too.
All right, Dave, thanks for talking to you, man.
All right, there's a look at David Gilliland, the FreeCreditReport.com Ford. Is back in the 28th position. Is his crew now talking to him about having to grip the racetrack. Now, why are we under yellow here for the 5th time of the afternoon? Exactly what he was talking about. The trouble spot is turn 4.
You see Brad Coleman get up into turn 4, nobody around him. He just loses it and gets up in the wall. Now, this is the same Brad Coleman we saw last week. Let's take a look at the 36 car. Oh, we just missed it right there in the shot. Here it comes back. Let's take another angle here. Brad Coleman spins, gets to the wall. No place to go for the 36 car. Oh, my gosh. And he just got the lucky dog back. He's probably thinking, what in the world? I went from a hero to a hobo, man, or nothing flat. But this is the same Brad Coleman that ran so well at Mexico City last week, guys. He was really flying around that racetrack, not so lucky today.
Yeah, the youngster just getting some experience on a very high-speed racetrack here. And very lucky that he didn't get hit in the door. It's just a matter of inches right there that he didn't get hit in the door.
There typically are trouble spots at each track for each Saturday or Sunday event, and there's no doubt what it is today here at Las Vegas. Turn 4, 4 of the 5 caution flags have happened in turn 4. As you just heard David Gilliland tell you, Rusty, that is a spot the drivers are concerned about and very tentative.
You know, and you wouldn't think they'd have the problem off of turn 4 as much as they're having, because this is a triable racetrack. They're coming off of turn 4, and they got more breathing room. I would have thought the problem would have been in the bumps going through turn 1 and 2, but they haven't seemed to have a problem right there.
Well, here's the 60 car, Carl Edwards, who is our points leader, and he has had a bit of a struggle with this brand new car throughout the weekend as he heads down pit road, as do others. Here's the 12 car of Kurt Busch headed down to Dave Burns.
He will give up the lead, Jerry. They will take on 2 tires this time as well. It will be the left sides to match those right sides they took earlier. No other adjustments.
Just a little synopsis of Carl Edwards' day. He says it's loose, slick, and absolutely no grip. That's what he's looking for on the racetrack. He came over the radio a little while ago and said, thank goodness the Busch cars don't drive like the Cup cars.
Stop again, and then we'll work our way back up.
Here's Shane Wilson talking to watch this right rear tire just roll away right in front of Casey Kane.
Okay, that's going to draw a penalty right there. The NASCAR has a rule that says that your tires have to be in the inside half of the pit box before your car can leave. And we can see them right here. The NASCAR officials, I think, have told them they're going to have to come back into pits for a penalty.
Just 15 miles north of the glitz and glamour that is the world-famous Las Vegas Strip, as the NASCAR Busch Series cars on show today here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Kyle Busch still at top of the field. The top 11 cars did not pit under that most recent caution flag, and Busch continues to lead Dave Blaney now and stretching it out to about 8 or 9 car lengths.
Paul Menard got a great start. He jumped on the outside on that start, which is legal. Passed him a few cars. He's got a big head of steam.
Now, what I see, a lot of these guys are timid on these restarts, and they just shoot to the top side of the racetrack where they don't slow them down at all.
Yeah, that's Paul Menard in the 15 car. He just blasted on that restart.
Meanwhile, back up front, Tony Stewart makes the pass on the 10 car to take the second spot away. And Tony, who started back in 17th position and was very critical of the redesign and reconfiguration of this racetrack, having a pretty good afternoon.
Well, he's having a good afternoon right now. I think he probably spoke too quick that he didn't like this, he didn't like that. The track looks to me to be just fine right now. No problem with the racetrack. These guys that stayed out, Andy, it looks like they're up to speed quicker than the guys that put new tires on and have got to burn some of that fuel off. You see them still dancing all over the place, but the guys that stayed out, like the 5 car, got that track position, no problem there.
Okay, the restart we talked about a moment ago, where it is legal, as Andy Petrie told you, to pass on the outside once the green flag waves. Now watch the yellow 15 car of Menard.
Oh man, he throttled up, he got a good start, had his tires cleaned off, got right past David Stremme. Good run, 3 wide into that corner, but he made it.
That's what I like, a race car driver is ready to get to work.
Up front, Tony Stewart is getting to work in a hurry, trying to look to the inside. Chevy passing Chevy, and now Stewart, for the first time today, takes the lead here on lap 75.
Hey, not too bad for a driver that hates the racetrack. He looks like he's looking pretty good to me out there right now. I'll promise you, he'll change his mind. If this cat wins this race, he won't be complaining.
Hey, I can't wait to see Chris Powell handing the trophy in victory lane and see what kind of hug they have for each other.
You don't think he'll give it back to him, will he?
I don't know if he'll hand him one. We'll have to see. All right, Tony Stewart becomes our 8th different leader. We've had 9 lead changes, and we are still 24 laps away from the halfway point. And with more on the general manager of the Speedway, let's check in with Alan.
Hey, Doc, after Tony Stewart's strong comments on our pre-race show, and specifically mentioning Chris by name, I wanted to offer Chris the opportunity to come on the broadcast and discuss why they redesigned the racetrack and what the thinking was behind the changes. Chris's response to that offer was, I'll let the racing speak for itself.
Well, I think that was a pretty good decision. We were watching Tony Stewart just a little while ago, Andy. Looks like he had fluid coming out of the right-hand side of that car. I believe that 33 car is overheating.
Tony Stewart was in a hurry to get in the lead. We see Carl Edwards working the bottom of Kurt Busch. You can see those bumps in the racetrack when they go in there, and that car just jumping up and down as they run side by side.
Yeah, here's the 33 Rusty's referring to. When he made the pass a moment ago, you saw some steam or water come out of the right part of the hood there, up toward the windshield.
Yeah, he's hot right now. That car's overheating. We have to talk to his pit crew. In fact, it's pouring a lot of water out and has not stopped yet. You know, generally when the air gets through the grill, it'll cool these engines down, but we're about 3 laps into this run. It's really pouring it out right now. I'm afraid he's got some problems.
Yeah, he's going to have problems with that. They're going to have to fix that. They're probably going to have to end up putting some water back in that car to make that car finish. So it wouldn't be long. He'll be on pit road if it keeps doing that.
The hotter it gets, the more difficult it is to breathe. Just like if you're right here running a race and it's 80 degrees and you begin to overheat, you can't breathe and you slow down. That's what's happening to Tony Stewart right now as Kyle Busch has gone back around him.
I was trying to get a look at his grill and see if he had any debris on the front of that grill on the 33 car. I don't see anything right now. Maybe just a little regular trash that's on there. Got to remember, he hasn't pitted, so he could have some debris on it yet. Let's take a look. Looks pretty clean to me.
Let's see what they're saying in the Tony Stewart pits. Jamie?
Well, Doc, I'll tell you what, I think we just startled the whole team. Jason Ratcliffe, his crew chief, said, no, everything's good. And then all of a sudden they jumped up and they were seeing what we saw on the monitor. They said, he's quiet. He's not saying anything on the radio, so they're assuming. They're asking him right now if water temp's okay. Very quiet. All seems to be okay in the 33 car, guys. So far, right now, running second.
Oh, it's 270.
All right, here a moment ago is the 33 car.
10-4.
All right, 270 degrees, Tony's reporting. The crew didn't even know the car was running hot. Us up in the ESPN booth, we could see it on the camera, told the pit crew, he's told Tony, and Tony's went, oh my gosh, it's 270 degrees. That's how hard these guys are focusing on their car. Didn't even have time to look at the gauges. These cars are running so loose out there.
We had his hand full off turn 4 when he gave up the lead.
But it also shows you what kind of talent these drivers are to be able to run these cars this hard on a new racetrack. And Tony, again, has driven all the way from 17th starting spot. He took the lead on lap 75.
And we still see steam coming out of the car, and I know Dan Stillman's going to have him checking it really close.
And the oil's through the roof.
Okay, these guys need to bring this thing down pit road right now if they got any shot at all of making this race. 275 and the oil is climbing through the roof. It's just a matter of time before it blows the hood clear off that car with a blown motor.
Tony Stewart, who has 2 career wins in the NASCAR Busch Series, both of them coming at Daytona. There's Dan Stillman and the crew down there, the Old Spice crew, very concerned. They saw what we were showing you at home. That's how they found out when we saw the steam.
Look out for water pressure there, water pressure. 34. 10-4.
What we see there is a cool down unit. These guys will plug that thing in on a pit stop and it'll add water back to the cooling system so they can get this thing cooled back down. But if they don't get in the pits pretty quick, they're not going to have an engine that's going to be able to cool down. It'll be blown.
Okay, Andy, here's the problem. Risk and reward. He's running on Sunday. They're running 200 miles an hour. Do you risk staying on the racetrack and having this engine blow up and spinning and crashing and possibly getting hurt? I'd bring it down pit road right now. The big thing is tomorrow. The big thing's tomorrow. That's his money day.
Remember, we showed you it was this driver at Lowe's Motor Speedway last May who was injured in the 33 car when he smacked the wall and fractured his collarbone or his shoulder blade and injured some ribs and had to sit out with a substitute driver a week later. Now Tony Stewart doesn't have much choice. He's going to have to come to pit road.
They're holding their breath right now. 275 on the oil temperature, raising to 280.
280 and climbing still. The oil's all the way back around.
They're just trying to hang on for a caution flag. It's the only chance they have to stay in contention if they get a caution and get it cooled down. If they come down pit road right now, they're going to lose so many laps that they're not going to be in contention. So they're just going to hold out and see if they get a caution before the engine blows up, and they can get it cooled back down.
All right, here's the 29 car of Jeff Burton being shown in 3rd spot. Dave Burns.
Well, here in Struggleville, Jerry, the 29 car having its own troubles. Jeff radioing in that the car acts like it doesn't know where it's going. The crew asking him, was it loose going into the corner? Does it feel like it's going to spin out? Jeff said, I don't know. It doesn't know where it's going when it gets into the corner. They want to put some air back in the right front that they removed on one of the previous pit stops to try to get more control of this car.
Remember, as Dave told us earlier, they had made significant air pressure changes to the 29 car because they couldn't get it to turn in the corners. It got better, and now, as Dave mentions, the car is again dancing around and not turning. Well, we are hearing that tire issues may be developing on the 16 car.
285 now.
All right, this is the point right now. We got a tire problem on the 16 car they're reporting. But with Tony Stewart's issue, him as a driver needs to make a decision whether to bring that thing down. Because if it blows up and he's in the wall, it's his own fault right now.
Well, what's happening with Greg Biffle? Let's check in with Mike.
Well, Doc, a bit of a scare in the 16 pick. Greg Biffle came over the radio not too long ago saying the car feels a little bit weird. Wasn't sure if he had a right front tire going down. His team leapt to the wall, ready to pit that car. But then the car started to feel a little bit better. Greg thinks he might have just run something over, and it might have been a momentary lapse in feel for that race car.
These tires are so unpredictable that some of these guys don't realize what's going on. They feel something funny and they go, wait a minute, I got a tire going down. They run another corner or two or another lap and say, well, maybe not. Maybe it's just the way this tire feels.
We might want to explain again to our viewers that this is a right side tire that was tested here with the new pavement, but the left side tire, Goodyear opted to bring a new left side tire because of safety, because of what they saw in terms of speed and temperature. And these teams don't have a lot of experience on this left side tire.
This is kind of a catch-22, Jerry. They made the tire very, very durable. Goodyear's did a wonderful job of always putting a safe tire underneath these drivers. And it's always a real tough deal to find a mix. You know, the drivers want grip, they complain about grip. If they don't have enough grip, they spin out and crash. If you blow a tire out because it's too soft, you spin out and crash. So, you know, what's the situation? Now we see Tony Stewart. We just got a report that he's slowing down. The engine's probably losing power.
Well, he just gave up a spot to Jeff Burton. He's still under power, but I'll tell you, he's going to have to come in here and get that thing fixed. I know they're trying to get a caution. They're hoping and praying they get a caution so they can get it cooled back down.
Well, I think right now he's just running it with all the gauges completely buried on the car and just hoping that it's going to stay alive to a caution flag, like you said. And boy, that's a real dangerous thing to do.
If you're Tony Stewart's crew chief, Andy Petrie, what are you thinking about that you hope it is so you can fix it as opposed to something you can't fix?
Well, you hope it's maybe just something on the grill, or you got a little too much tape and you can get in there and get some water in the system and get it cooled back down, maybe pull a little bit of tape off and get back to racing. But if they have to do it under green, it's just going to cost them too much time to stay in contention. And the only reason they're running this race is to win. They're not here for points. They're just here to win.
All right, let's find out exactly what Dan Stillman will do. Jamie Little?
Well, Doc, there was a radio miscommunication. Actually, Dan Stillman, the crew chief, couldn't even hear Tony Stewart for the last 6 laps. So Tony's basically talking to our television audience, and his crew chief was out of the loop. But we're going to talk to him right now. Dan, what exactly is going on with the car right now? What do you plan to do?
We got to pit in about 6 or 7 laps. We're going to see if we can see anything wrong with it. But it was running really good. We got the temps went through the roof, so we're going to have to look at it here shortly.
You gambling on getting a caution here and hanging out there until then?
Yeah, we would like a caution.
All right, guys, that was playing in Tony Stewart's favor.
All right, Dan Stillman hoping to bring Tony Stewart down in 5 or 6 laps. And they are hoping and praying that a yellow flag will fly. We have already had 5 today, but right now we are all green at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Well, Kyle Busch, a Las Vegas native, is our leader. We'll be back with more after these messages and a word from our ABC stations. Back at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Tony Stewart in the pits with the Kevin Harvick crew. Dan Stillman and company going to work. Take a look at the water, just steam pouring out of the hood.
Right now, Jerry, they have no hope except just to open that hood, cool this thing back down. They're not going to that at all. They're just putting tires in this car and yelling to pull tape off of it. And I'm afraid that's not going to get the job done. They got to cool this thing down. You saw the tape just come off the front? Don't believe that's going to be enough, guys. There's no water in that thing.
Dave Burns.
And the 29 car of Jeff Burton gives up the lead. It's going to be a track bar adjustment. They're having trouble making that adjustment. The wrench going in the rear window. Down just a little bit to help Jeff's race car. Again, he was having trouble with the handling of that car. He will change for green flag pit stops. Also, Dave Blaney has been on pit road as well for 4. Joe Nemechek as well has pitted under these green flag conditions.
There's David Stremmy's number 22 car. Stremme, who started on the front row for this race, as well as will be there for the Cup race on Sunday. Down and away. Making his pit stop as we have now reached the halfway point here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway in the NASCAR Busch Series. Our leader is the 4 car. Regan Smith, a 24-year-old driver, being shown at the head of the pack. Only the 4th time in his career he has led, and here is young Stephen Wallace coming down pit road in the Wise Trade Dodge.
They have changed 4 tires in their car. Before that, he was running 12th, running good. He's been complaining a lot. The car's very, very loose after the last 4-tire change. Looks like they're going a lap down 4 tires. Massaro's there, Mike.
Stephen's been complaining a little bit about the car and the tires, saying they're completely inconsistent. On the last run, the car went from extremely tight to undrivable loose. Those are his words in one heat cycle. He said he's coming very close to wrecking the car. This pit stop was something he needed desperately. Dave?
Regan Smith, a guy who gave up the lead, needed some adjustments on that car. Been running very well, and he's been getting a lot of help from his Nextel Cup teammate, Mark Martin, this weekend. Regan very confident at the start of this race.
All right, we are being told there may be a violation on the 66. There's the commitment cone.
Just a pass-through.
Yeah, you're supposed to make your pit stop in between the 2 cones. That's a commitment cone. And I believe he also sped off of pit road, so he's got a couple of issues. I think there's a pass-through penalty coming up for him. And here he comes down pit road.
So entering pit road, he went above there. He goes below that orange commitment cone and gets down to 45 miles an hour. He will pass through, and then exiting after he made the adjustments. There's a look. Now, he's 19 years old. He's just learning a lot about the racing, but obviously these kind of things really hurt you.
Yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, that entry, there's so many little rules they have on entering pit road. It's unbelievable. Now, you come through with the outside of the cone. That's not, in my mind, not a violation. In NASCAR's mind, I guess it is. That's the commitment line, whether you're going to pit or stay in the track. He obviously came a little too hot, missed the cone, brought it back down pit road. So that's something that team's got to take a look at. That's something I don't agree with personally.
All right, back up front. Here's the 12 car of Kurt Busch. Has led 21 as of the 104 laps, making only his first start here in the year in the NASCAR Busch Series.
And now what has happened here is that they cycled through this green flag stop. These guys stopped on the last caution. The guys that just pitted under green stayed out under that caution, and so it's going to be about 15 laps that they're going to have to hold their breath and hope that a caution doesn't come out and get them caught a lap down.
Put this time, Kurt.
Yeah.
7-4 will be coming in. Windshield's good. Need a water. Yep, got it ready for you.
Yeah, Andy, Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards, Casey Kane, Bobby Labonte. These cars are in the top 4. They stopped back on lap 69 in that last caution, as you said, so they have a little breathing room in terms of when they want to come on the pit road.
Watch your speed.
Yeah, but it looks like they're going to come on down pit road now because nothing for them to lose.
Well, here comes Kurt Busch bringing the Penske Dodge down, headed toward Dave Burns.
And Jerry, other than that liquid refreshment that Kurt ordered up, they will take on 2 right sides. Remember, they've been going rights, left, rights. This is the rights change. They may not change lefts the rest of the day. They looked great the last time they came off. He does want a slight air pressure adjustment out of the right rear tire, getting away and into the next pit stall. That rolled ahead. We'll have to see what the ruling is on that, but the car just a little bit loose right now, air out of the right rear.
Here's Carl Edwards, our current point leader and race leader, as Edwards brought a brand new car here, and he and PK, Pierre Kittel, his crew chief, have certainly struggled. They were really scratching their heads in the garage area as trying to get this car dialed in. Last year's winner here, Casey Kane, coming down pit road. This is the Ray Evernham Dodge, headed down toward you, Mike Massaro.
And Jerry, Casey Kane feeling pretty good about his car. The only thing he said during that last run was that the front end was a little bit tight and the back end is in the racetrack. A 4-tire change and a slight air pressure adjustment. Also a chassis adjustment. You see the wedge wrench go in. Moving around now to the left side of the car, making the 4-tire change. Casey Kane still feels pretty good about his car.
You know, when these cars leave pit road, you hear them squeal like that. Those tires are so hard, they actually sound like a toy car or some type of animation going on. I've never heard tires squeal on a race car, a stock car, like they do here today.
Almost sounds like a street car, the way it'll squeal when you spin a tire.
Yeah, it's something these cars just don't do. I mean, but that's how hard the tire is. They're just very, very hard.
Fingernails on the blackboard. Here's Denny Hamlin coming in. Jamie.
Denny Hamlin coming in right side tires only, guys. We're seeing different strategies all day. We see some 4 tires, and here on Denny Hamlin, the 20 car, just fuel, and those right sides. Tough, little tight there. Eric McClure in front of him, but Denny Hamlin is out and away.
And a reminder. reminder again, NASCAR has given these teams 9 sets of tires today. Ordinarily, they would only get 6 sets to try to keep costs down in the NASCAR Busch Series. And here's our leader, points leader and race leader, Carl Edwards, now on pit road as he heads down at 45 miles an hour. But first, let's go up to the 77 pit. Bobby Labonte in front of Allen.
Hitting from second place, Doc. He told the crew chief, Wally Rogers, the car is pretty close. I wouldn't change much. They're going to take on 4 tires and fill it up with fuel. Mike Massaro.
Kevin Harvick has a problem with his right rear quarter panel brace. It's broken. They were unable, however, to fix it until the last pit stop. They're waiting for a caution to get that done. In the meantime, just 4 tires stop, and they pulled out the left front fender on Harvick's car.
And the 60 of Kevin Harvick headed back out. Certainly Carl Edwards headed back out on the racetrack. They made some significant adjustments, and they had the adjustment wrenches in both the right and left side windows there for Carl Edwards' car.
Well, that's a serious chassis adjustment when you're sticking a wedge wrench in both holes in the window and turning on those screws. You don't usually see that.
Yeah, you usually see them go to one corner. They're either going to work the track bar, put a little wedge in it, and make an adjustment like that. Stephen Light been running good out there again today. Pit stop going well at the moment. Let's take a look and see if he's got a good stop here, guys. Track position right now is very important. These guys got to spend the least amount of time on pit road as you possibly can. 18-2, not a good stop. You know, you want to see it down to 14s, 15s, stuff like that, but not a bad one either.
Holly Barraclaw and company for the 90 car that's owned by Robert Yates. Stephen Light, the 20-year-old driver from Asheville, North Carolina. Going back on the racetrack, and guess who is back toward the front? The 5 car of Kyle Busch.
We see Bobby Labonte in the 77 car there. He just pitted. He's going to try to work this 5 car pretty hard on these fresh tires and get his lap back. He's the first car 1 lap down.
You know, you get a race like this where everybody's concerned about tires, they're concerned about grip. You can see them. Things are going on the day that normally don't happen here. The cars are getting spread out a little bit. A lot of drivers complain about things they never complain about.
Now you talk about the 77 car trying to work the 5 car. The 5 car is the leader. The 77 car is a lap down, but if he can get back by the 5 car, he would be on the tail end of the lead lap if the caution were to come out.
Yeah, and he desperately wants to do that right now. He's running hard. And I don't know if Kyle Busch is going to rough him up or play hardball here or not with him. He might let Bobby just take the outside groove and get around outside and get back in the lead lap.
What do you mean rough him up? What do you do?
Well, I mean, he blocks him. He knows Bobby's a little quicker. He's kind of, hey, I'm not going to let this guy by because I might have to race him later on. And I don't want to give him the spot right now because he might beat me. And I don't want that to happen. So these guys drive pretty hard. Just kind of my own terminology, Jerry. Rough him up a little bit, you know.
That's the old St. Louis short tracker, Rusty Wallace, talking about roughing him up here.
And right now, Labonte just got on outside of Kyle Busch to get himself back in that lead lap. Right now, the 77 just got around Kyle Busch, and he's back on the lead lap right now. Just the thing he's planned, that's working real good. He's got a good handling car. He's up on the outside of that racetrack, entering turn 3, a lot of momentum. Now, Kyle's not going to let him get too far away, that's for sure.
Remember, the 5 car pitted on lap 97, but the 77 didn't come in the lap 110, so he has 13 laps, fresher tires. And Andy, as a crew chief and a driver, that does make a difference.
Tires are always better.
This is something that, boy, this is where you want the caution. Give me that lap back, man. He's driving his brains out. He knows he's got the 5 car Kyle Busch right up his tail. That gives a lot of pressure.
We see him running nose to tail right here. You see Kyle Busch not letting Bobby Labonte get very far away in the 77 car. Bobby's got his hands full with Kyle Busch.
Bobby Labonte, who won the 1991 NASCAR Busch Series title prior to going on and becoming a Nextel Cup champion. Now trying to hang on, hoping for a yellow flag as he can get back on the lead lap and stay there.
We see our draft boost right here. When these cars running nose to tail, these cars affect each other by the air. And we see the downforce of the 77 car being affected by the 5 car.
That is
caution's out. Caution's out. Hold the brakes right there. Everybody's going above you. Cut a tire.
We're listening in to Greg Biffle.
Cut a tire. I heard it down the back stretch. That's what I get for trying to move that guy up. Just trying to give the 15 room, you know. Well done, Eddie. Cut it right rear.
Yeah, heavy damage on the right side. Heavy damage on the right side of the Greg Biffle Ford. He has hit a ton. Here's what happened a moment ago.
Yeah, you saw the rear end kick out front of the car. The nose went back up, and he tried to get that thing back off and save it a little bit. But, boy, at least he didn't get driver's side first. He got knocked out in practice here when this track was built, and he knows those walls hurt.
We heard him
in Las Vegas.
Yeah, we heard him say on the radio that it was his own fault that he moved one of those cars out of the way. Maybe they've had some contact earlier that caused that tire to get cut down.
Well, he said he had a right rear go down. I mean,
yeah, but he was talking about how he must have got against somebody and cut it down.
Let's check in with Mike.
Well, Doc, you hit it right on the head. Right rear tire going down on Greg Biffle. He had a premonition something like this might transpire today. On the final lap of happy hour for Cup practice this afternoon, he got extremely loose in about the same place on the racetrack, kept it off the wall, but nearly crashed. That's all he could talk about before pre-race activities occurred today. So he kind of knew, got that wake-up call that something like this could happen today.
All right, we are under caution now for the 6th time this afternoon. Heavy impact by the former series champion for the NASCAR Busch Series, as Greg Biffle has had a hard impact. Here is the 5 car. Our leader, Kyle Busch, coming down pit road, 45 miles an hour. Let's head up to the Jeff Burton pits with Dave.
And Jerry, just a couple of laps ago, Jeff's car got sideways. He didn't know why. It got loose. He wanted the car, an adjustment made down on the track bar. 4 fresh tires. They may be able to make it on 1 stop after this, or they're very close on the fuel. Jamie?
Well, Kyle Busch in for service right now. His car is too loose. He said they took some wedge out, made an air pressure adjustment, and he's out and away.
Here's a 33 car that had such a good run going.
Pull it out as best you can.
A lot of work going on in front of the 33 car. Tony Stewart now has been overheating all day long. I got to tell you guys, I'm surprised this car is still on the racetrack. It got so hot. Generally, these engines blow, and they pulled more tape off yet just now. And the car sits there running like that with no air going through the front of it. Generally, it's going to overheat. These are critical moments right now that this car is not going around with no air going through the grill.
Tony Stewart has stayed on the lead lap.
You'll be good.
And he continues to be a factor here. We are under caution for the 6th time. You're watching ESPN on ABC.
Jason Leffler, teammates, Doc.
Teammates again. We saw it last week in Mexico City, and now again teammates, this time Leffler and the 10 car of Blaney, both for Todd Braun Motorsports. 2 of the Toyotas have heavy damage, bringing out caution again here on lap 123.
Out there running, the boy, they just wiped them both out. Let's take a look, see what happens here. Oh, it just looks like Dave Blaney loses it on top side of the racetrack. Classic case of that aero loose again, Andy.
Yeah, and he just caught his teammate up in that. There was no contact between them until after Dave Blaney spun. Just unfortunate for this team to have both their cars wrapped up in this.
And Leffler has nowhere to go.
That is bad luck. Look, I'm telling you, a 38 car, Jason Leffler, back there, minding his own business, his own teammate spins, and he's the next guy in line. When you go back to the shop on Monday morning, they're going to look at these cars and go, man, Todd Braun's team's going to go, I can't believe this just happened.
Looks like he got loose about the 2.
You heard Jason Leffler just a moment ago to say that these tires are a handful on a restart because I guess they're not up to pressure.
I'm not sure you can blame this on the tires. These guys are really racing hard, about 3 wide going through 1 and 2. We hadn't really seen them run 3 wide through there, and I kind of figured a little bit of a problem was developing.
Let's see again the restart here. Watch to the right side of your screen here, the 4 car and the 15 of Menard.
You see Menard just flat loses it coming off of turn 2, and it's just a classic case we talked earlier in our presentation, Andy, about aero loose. Paul Menard just lost that car, and that's just an indication of how hard these tires are again. These drivers are doing a fabulous job holding on to these cars with what they got to work with.
Let's see what David Gilliland saw from the onboard camera.
Now, folks, it looks like he got up the right rear tire, got up in the gray.
Austin's out.
A lot of these drivers were telling me there's a little strip right up next to the wall that's almost like paint. It's like a wet something that's up next to the wall that the cars are, they don't run through it every lap, but once you get your right rear tire up in there, it's just really slick.
Turn 2.
The one car in the wall, J.J. Yaley. And that
yeah, before he got me loose to him, I was junk.
You heard J.J.'s commentary talking back to James Finch's crew there. Here again in the corner, right side of your screen, way up across the racetrack.
You know, he said somebody got him loose on his radio, but it just didn't look like that. It looks like J.J. got so high in the racetrack that he just spun. We'd have to go back in this replay again. We'll try to get back to it one more time. I'm going to watch an earlier portion of it and see what happens here in a second.
Well, you'll see some of the guys maybe gamble on this one. This is just outside most of their windows on fuel, but if they get cautions, they may be able to stretch it. We see them coming in.
Here's a bunch of gamblers coming down pit road here at Las Vegas. The 29 of Burton, the 9 of Casey Kane, Tony Stewart, Danny Hamlin, Kyle Busch. As we head down to Alan Bestwick.
Shane Huffman has moved his way up to 6th position in the race. A track bar adjustment on the car. Dale Earnhardt Jr., one of the team owner, on the box, giving instructions to his driver. Dave?
2 right side tires for Jeff Burton. No chassis adjustments. They will need about 7 caution laps before this race is over to extend their fuel mileage to make it to the end. Mike.
Casey Kane hoping to win consecutive races here in Las Vegas, saying to his crew, make sure it is full, hoping to go the distance from here. A 4-tire change for Casey Kane. He feels pretty good about his race car right now, guys.
Well, Mike, Tony Stewart came in 4 tires and fuel. They believe they will have to stop, though, to top off toward the end. But so far, nothing wrong with the car, according to Tony Stewart.
And with this caution flag, the free pass goes to a very good car in Kevin Harvick, the 21 car, able to get back on the lead lap. I don't know about you guys, but if I see Kevin Harvick back on the lead lap, that's going to concern me, because he can drive it as well as anyone in that 21 car here in the final 44 laps. He is also trying to get back in front of the leader to get one of those laps back as the green flag waves, and Kyle Busch will lead him down. Steve Wallace trying to follow Kyle Busch. This is a great way, Andy, for a young driver to go to school on a veteran and learn something about this racetrack.
Yeah, the best thing you can do right here is just try to fall in line and try to keep up with Kyle Busch. That's been hard. Not a whole lot of guys have been able to do that today, but if he could keep up with Kyle Busch, he can watch the line he's running and maybe learn a few things.
Well, the best thing you can do to get seat time is just get more seat time. Stay on the racetrack, keep following some of the best guys out there, and see the lines they do around the racetrack. Steve's learned a lot today. He's been really, really fast. But that one bad set of tires that got him a lap down, he's trying desperately to get it back right now.
We've kind of set ourselves up here. These guys pitted with about 45 laps to go, and that's just outside most of these guys' fuel windows. So they're going to have to count on getting some caution laps, which the way it's been going today, they're probably going to get them. But if they have enough caution laps, they may be able to extend that range. And it's going to be interesting to see who can make it, who can't, who's going to have to pit. It's really unpredictable right now who can do all that.
Remind 29 car, that is Jeff Burton. Remember what happened at the very top of this show. We told you that Jeff Burton, this is the car that he led so many laps at California, but the car faded late in the day. The crew told us they're going to save their best set of tires for the final stop and see if Burton can somehow make up for that fade at California. And Andy, he's coming pretty quickly.
Well, it's showtime. We'll see if those tires are going to get it done for him.
That fade in California, I can tell you right now, Jerry, he just wants to win right now, man. He's like, let me have that big trophy at this new Las Vegas track.
Pretty good battle for 7th spot. Bobby Labonte, despite the fact, as Alvin told you, he did not take tires, and Bobby doing a heck of a job up on the high side, trying to go back around the 9 car of Casey Kane.
The good thing we're seeing right now is that this is a 2-lane track. A lot of these new racetracks are single file right on the bottom. These guys are able to run on the bottom, the middle, and the top. I think that's going to really be good for the future of this track.
Let's update Casey Kane in his pits.
Well, Jerry, Casey Kane cannot really afford to battle too hard in this particular situation. Crew Chief Mike Shipley came over the radio right before the restart and gave him very specific instructions. Be conservative, save fuel, and everything will be all right. They pitted on lap 155. They're right on the cusp of their window.
Casey Kane in the 9 car. He is the pole sitter for the Nextel Cup event, and one of the big stories circulating in the garage area. We know what happened in Daytona with Jack Roush and the Fenway group. forming Roush Fenway Racing, we are hearing that Ray Evernham may be looking for some investors as well.
Yeah, we heard some of that down in the garage area. I talked to Ray earlier yesterday, and I heard he was talking to somebody else about investors, kind of like what we saw with Roush and Fenway Racing. And I guess these guys are just trying to raise more capital to be stronger, be able to do more things, and hire more people, and spend the money on R&D and get better. And I'm sure Ray's looking at that.
Well, Jack Roush is ahead of the curve, and now Ray Evernham, who's always been ahead of the curve in far as thinking ahead, trying to maybe get a little more money. And is it that expensive to be able to do what they're trying to do R&D wise?
Jerry, the cost of racing nowadays is just one almost out of control. It's so high, it's incredible. And NASCAR's they're working their brains out, trying to bring the cost of racing back down. With the car tomorrow coming on right now, I really believe in the long run that's going to be a savior. But until that car gets there, they got to try to control this.
Find out who really is a gambler if somebody tries to stay out here and gamble on getting a few more caution flags and keep this track position.
There's a safety worker picking up some of that debris on the racetrack. Now, as they come down behind the pace car, Kyle Busch stays on the track, but others decide to pull on the pit road. Some of the cars back in the pack. Here's the 70 of Justin Dirks. Kyle Krisaloff is in. The 34 of Jeff Green. There's a 6 of David Reagan. Reed Sorensen, who had a great qualifying effort, driving for Chip Ganassi, brings his car down pit road.
It's like almost all the guys on the lead lap staying out on the racetrack and gambling on being able to make it on fuel and just missing this opportunity to get fuel with 17 laps to go.
Well, Andy, what they got to do is they just got to see what's going to happen. If they get to 4 or 5 laps to go and they haven't had the caution flags they needed, staying out could really kill these guys right now.
All right, the 16 cars on the lead lap have opted to stay on the racetrack. And that means everyone will stay in line behind Kyle Busch, Jeff Burton, Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart, and David Stremme. Back with the finish of ESPN on ABC.
Made racing a lot safer than the last 5 or 6 years.
Safer barrier, soft wall, seat technology. See the safer barrier that absorbs the impact. Give NASCAR a call. What a job they have done to make these tracks and drivers much safer. Well, can Kyle Busch hang on for the final 15 laps?
Green flag, green flag. Green.
Kyle Busch has never won at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Neither has older brother Kurt. But the car right behind him, the 29 car of Jeff Burton, is a 2-time winner here.
Well, I tell you, the guy to not forget about is Tony Stewart. He's in clean air, and he's reeling the 12 car of Kurt Busch in right now. You know, we wrote him off earlier saying, hey, that engine's going to blow up. Somehow that baby has held on, and Tony's doing a fantastic job out there driving the wheels off that thing. We got 14 laps to go.
Jeff Burton was catching Kyle Busch before this caution came out. He had a little faster car, and he's putting the pressure on him right here.
Ooh, and you see the 29 of Jeff Burton right on the tail of Kyle Busch, got him loose, pulled inside to make that pass. Now look, I wouldn't doubt if it happens again that the Kyle Busch can get him loose the next corner. Let's take a look at this. Right underneath. Look at that.
Out of way. Settle in, drive away from him. He's trying to come back inside on you now. Inside.
Guys, that's how you do it. You get under his tail, make him loose, pass him back, and look what happened. Tony Stewart's up on his tail now.
Not seeing any give and take right now. It's time to go. It's 12 laps to go, and these guys are going to race hard. They're not going to give and take.
For those of you just joining us, expecting to see World News tonight, we will have that coming up at the conclusion of our live NASCAR Busch Series coverage from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. What a barn burner of a finish here. 12 laps to go. The 29 car of Jeff Burton has made the pass for the lead. Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, a couple of brothers who grew up in Las Vegas in second and third. Tony Stewart pedaling his way toward the front. Whoa, trouble, and it is Casey King.
Wreck in two. Caution is out, caution's out.
And other cars sliding up across the racetrack are involved. Casey King, the 41 of Reed Sorensen, is involved.
Oh, that's a hard impact on the front of Reed Sorensen's car. That's a heavy impact on the very front, head on.
Caution coming out for the 12th time, and that's last year's winner here, Casey Kane. He's also the pole sitter for the Sunday afternoon NASCAR Nextel Cup Series event. We talked at the beginning of the show about the risks versus the reward of running on Saturday and then running on Sunday. Heavy impact for a couple of these drivers. We have 26 drivers in this race today who will also attempt to run the Nextel Cup event on Sunday.
Now, you talk about risk reward. He just loses. This is a classic case of just spinning out again. Here's a driver who's got a lot of talent, one of the best drivers in all of NASCAR, and it just proves that they can lose the car also. It's just not the rookies. And if you see all this carnage coming by, Andy, what's your take on this risk reward? I'm not going to give up on you, man. I want to know what you're thinking as a past car owner.
Well, I talked to Casey Kane in the garage. He said he just can't feel, he can't tell where the edge is. And if I'm Ray Evernham, you know, I just got to think, man, I don't want to get my driver hurt out here in a Busch race. But it looks like he'll be okay. But the heavy impact was on Reed Sorensen behind him. Man, what a wreck.
Yeah, there's the 41 of Sorensen coming across, and a couple of cars doing a nice job just to avoid hitting Sorensen in the passenger side door. Here's Mike Wallace's view.
Clear.
It was just a chain reaction. When Casey Kane spun out, the rest of the guys were trying to slow down and got into each other and got loose and spun and hit the wall, and then everybody just tries to avoid.
Well, if you're ever going to hit the wall, backing it in against a soft wall, that's the best way to do it. But when you see these cars coming at your door as you're parked in the middle of the racetrack, that's a dangerous part.
All right, what NASCAR is going to do now is they are parking the cars, and here's a great sight. Reed Sorensen, who hit the wall, literally hit the wall head on. In fact, the back tires and wheels came up off the ground, but NASCAR is now parking these cars up between turns 3 and 4 so they can get the debris cleaned up on the racetrack. And this is something I applaud NASCAR for. They don't want these guys running over there through all kinds of pieces of sheet metal and sharp objects on the track and cutting tires and having that impact the finish of this race.
And with just 10 laps to go, they don't want to run all the laps out under caution. They want to have a nice race to the finish and give the fans what they paid to see, and that's a good race. And by not running all these laps under caution, they're going to save those laps for racing.
Well, the finish of the NASCAR Busch Series event coming your way. 10 laps to go here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We'll be back with more NASCAR Busch Series action after this from our ABC stations.
As to who will win it today. Well, right now they better cinch them down and get ready because they got 8 laps to go. These guys got to get up on the wheel because if they're going to win this inaugural race at this brand new design racetrack, they got to get ready right now.
29 car of Jeff Burton trying to get his 3rd win here. Kyle Busch trying to win for the first time at his home racetrack. Burton is very high on the racetrack, opens the door for Kyle Busch off of turn 2, and here comes Busch on the inside.
Jeff Burton's car, he likes it up on the outside. That's where he's at.
And Kyle Busch makes the pass complete and will take the lead as they come by with 6 laps to go.
And it was all about who had the most nerve in that restart. It looks like Kyle Busch had it right there, but Burton on the top side of the track with a lot of run. Oh, he's up in the wall a little bit. A lot of debris flying.
All that speedy drive from that wreck of Casey Kane's has got all up next to the wall there, and he slipped up in that speedy drive and got loose.
Well, that slip could possibly cost Jeff Burton 2nd position because the yellow car of Kurt Busch and the 33 behind him.
Here, 5 to go, 5-7. 5 to go, bud, 5 to go.
So Kurt Busch and Tony Stewart are both trying to march up toward the 29.
And right now, Tony Stewart, he's the one that's got the race going on in the bottom, getting right up alongside of Kurt Busch. And this is where you could get yourself in trouble, like we talked all day long. If they go in side by side and lose that aerodynamic downforce, they could spin. While that's going on, though, that 5 car is gone.
Whoa! The 29 car right in front of this battle here gets sideways, and what a save as the 33 car makes the pass. There goes the 29 by of Jeff Burton, and these guys are hanging on for dear life.
They're on the wheel. I'll tell you, this is incredible how hard these guys are driving.
And you can tell you saw a lot of cars, or 29 car Jeff Burton, go down on the apron and fly back up on the racetrack using all the track they can.
Hey, watch this save by Jeff Burton a moment ago in the turn coming out of turn 4. Watch the back of the 29.
Man, that was unbelievable. That was all but gone. With this hard a tire, for him to hold on to that and still hold Kurt Busch and Tony Stewart behind him, man, whale of a job. You can tell they're on the wheel. They're going crazy right now.
He's still not giving up. He's got 3 laps to go, and he's still trying to run down Kyle Busch.
Left side of your screen, the 5 car is the 21-year-old Kyle Busch, who grew up racing about 200 yards from where this track now stands. Has never won a Busch Series event here at his native Las Vegas. Jeff Burton, the 29 car, is less than a second back.
2 to go by 5 right now.
And it's got to be a great feeling if this kid wins this race here at Las Vegas.
Jeff Burton beat Kyle Busch by 0.3 of a second.
Boy, Burton has cut the margin in half in a lap and a half.
Jerry, he is outrunning Kyle Busch 0.3, like Andy said. He's reeling him in big time.
He's going to get there.
Look at him flying on the top of that racetrack.
The 29 car, Jeff Burton, was frustrated about what happened at California. His car faded in the final laps. He said, this will not happen to me today. It is 4 car lengths. It is 3 car lengths. As the white flag waves, they have 1 lap. Can Jeff Burton get there?
Well, he's not fading now. Jeff Burton is right there.
It's a car length. It's a half a car length.
He's making his ground on the top side of the racetrack. As he goes to the top, wide open on the top of the track. It's going to be a drag race right to the end.
Here goes Burton on the high side. Busch makes the block out of turn 4. Burton squeezes high. They are door to door.
Jeff Burton!
Good job! Woo-hoo!
Jeff Burton takes the win, and Kyle Busch slams the wall on the outside.
Unbelievable. You saw the 29 of Jeff Burton. Let's see if he's okay.
Great job for Jeff Burton. What a finish.
What an unbelievable effort. Jeff Burton.
On the new tires, they just wasn't as good. I had to have some heat in the tires.
Jeff Burton refused to lose. He refused to give up on a very loose race car, and that is one very angry driver climbing out in Kurt Busch with a celebration down in the pits.
That's one happy crew.
He's angry because he's frustrated. He had a good car, but there's nothing he could have done. He did a great job throughout the day. Jeff Burton just had that run. He did a great job of working the top side.
Listen to this crowd on their feet. A record crowd of over 105,000 as Jeff Burton comes down and salutes the crowd.
And he's coming to talk to Kyle Busch, and Kyle is already gone. He's looking at an empty seat there right now. Burton did a great job on that top side. What a comeback for the 29 of Jeff Burton.
Good score.
How about that for sportsmanship? Instead of going to victory lane, Jeff Burton went straight to Kyle Busch to make sure he was okay and to say, hey, guys, it was all racing.
That's what it's all about right there. They just run it as hard as they could to the finish. Great sportsmanship at the end.
Folks, you just saw one of the most exciting finishes in Busch Grand National Racing, and you'll witness it live on ABC.
39-year-old Jeff Burton heads to victory lane for the 3rd time in his career as a winner with a remarkable effort. A car that was
tough questions.
Would you